Welcome to The Explainer. You know, when you look at a cat curled up on a sofa, you probably just see a pet. But what if I told you that's just the latest chapter in an incredible 10,000-year saga? It's a story of partnership, power, and survival. And believe it or not, it tells us as much about ourselves as it does about them.
So let's just dive right in with a question that kind of flips everything we think we know about pets on its head. Did we really domesticate cats? Or, and hear me out, did they actually domesticate us? Yeah, it's not some simple tale of humans taming a wild animal. The real story is so much cooler.
Okay, so to get to the bottom of this, we need to go way back. I'm talking 10,000 years ago. Forget cozy living rooms. Picture the Fertile Crescent, where humans were just starting to figure out farming. It's here that a kind of unspoken deal was made, a clever bargain that would literally change history for both humans and cats.
And this is where we get to the really wild idea, self-domestication. I mean, think about it. With dogs or cows, we were actively breeding them for certain things, right? Making them better hunters or more docile. But cats? Nope. They pretty much chose to hang out with us. They saw what we were doing, saw a golden opportunity, and just went for it.
And the process itself? It was so simple. Here's how it went down. Step 1. Humans start farming, which means we have these big grain stores. Step 2. All that grain attracts a ton of mice and rats. I mean, hordes of them. So, for the local wildcats, our little settlements suddenly became the best all-you-can-eat buffet in town. And that's the deal, struck without a single word spoken. They get an easy meal, and we get the best pest control you could ask for. It was a perfect win-win situation. And we have solid proof that this partnership is ancient. Get this, archaeologists in Cyprus found a grave that's 9,500 years old, and inside, buried right alongside a human, was a cat. This wasn't some random stray that wandered in. This was an intentional burial. It tells us this was a companion, a meaningful relationship, way before the Egyptians ever started worshiping them. Okay, so cats have officially made a deal with us. They've secured their spot. But their story gets a whole lot more complicated from here. Their journey takes this wild, dramatic turn. We're talking about a status that swung from one extreme to the other, from being seen as literal gods to being feared as demons. Let's talk about ancient Egypt, because this is where cats hit peak celebrity status. I mean, a status we can barely even wrap our heads around today. They weren't just pets. They were considered divine. They were connected to the goddess Bastet, symbols of protection and grace. It was a crime to kill a cat. Families would even mummify their cats and mourn them like a close relative. That shows you just how sacred they were, in this life and the next. But then, fast forward a few thousand years, we land in medieval Europe, and wow, have the tables turned. It's a complete 180. The very same animal that was worshipped as a god is now seen as a demon. Suddenly, they're tied to witchcraft, to evil, and this led to centuries of absolutely brutal persecution. And this widespread fear had absolutely devastating consequences that nobody saw coming. Think about it. They're getting rid of one of the best predators of rats. And what do rats carry? Fleas that spread disease. So by persecuting cats, they may have actually helped the Black Death spread faster. It's just a tragic, terrible irony. The animal that could have been their ally was hunted down instead. But you can't keep a good cat down, right? This wasn't the end of their story, not by a long shot. Their comeback, it was slow, for sure, but it was steady. They started to, you could say, claw their way back out of the shadows and, eventually, right into the heart of the modern home. So, how did this happen? Well, it took a few centuries. During the Renaissance, you start to see them pop up in paintings and stories again, which helped soften their image. Then you get to the 19th century, and suddenly there are cat shows. People are celebrating different breeds and their beauty. And by the early 20th century, that final shift from just a working animal to a beloved pet was pretty much complete. And that right there was the crucial moment. That was the turning point. A cat wasn't just a living mousetrap anymore. It was a companion. We started valuing them for who they were, for their personality, for their affection. And that change in how we saw them is what finally brought them out of the barn and onto the sofa, for good. So that brings us right up to the present day. They've already conquered our homes, so what's next? Well, apparently, conquering the entire modern world. And honestly, they're doing an amazing job of it. And what's so fascinating is that the very traits that made them successful 10,000 years ago make them perfect for our lives today. You know, they're independent, which is great for our busy schedules. They're super adaptable, so they do great in city apartments. They give you affection, but kind of on their own terms, which, let's be honest, really resonates with a lot of us these days. So yeah, their success is just undeniable. To go from the grain stores of the Fertile Crescent all the way to apartments in Tokyo, London, and New York, it's no wonder they've become one of the most popular pets on the entire planet. And then, of course, they conquered a whole new territory that nobody, and I mean nobody, could have seen coming: the internet. Right? Cat videos, memes, famous internet cats. It's just proof that their power to grab our attention is as strong as ever, even through a screen. So when you step back and look at this whole incredible history, one thing really stands out. This isn't a story about humans forcing an animal into submission. It's a story of mutual respect. It's a partnership, a 10,000-year-old deal that honestly is still paying off for both of us.
So the next time you look at your cat, maybe when it's just sitting there staring at you, think about the 10,000 years of history looking back. You're seeing a hunter, a god, a demon, and finally, a companion. It's just a powerful reminder that the best relationships aren't forced, they're chosen. And this was a choice made by two very different species a long, long time ago.